So tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is Marc Agins. I am the president of Grasons of Southwest Denver. We offer estate sales, downsizing sales, business liquidations, buyouts, and eBay consignment.
Awesome. And what do you think sets you apart from all the other people that do what you do in especially along the Front Range?
Sure. The three things that primarily differentiate my company from my competitors. Number one, I do not have a minimum guarantee. The vast majority of providers here in Denver, in their contract, it states that they are entitled to a certain amount of commissions or money, regardless of the revenue that is earned at their events. That is stacking the deck in their favor and it limits their motivation to be successful. So we do not have that minimum guarantee, so that I am highly motivated to make your sale a success because if you don't make money, I don't make money, and I don't like working for free. So
Right.
that's the first thing that differentiates me. Second thing that differentiates me, I am the only provider in Denver that uses a software system to inventory everything within the sale, included with a barcode for the event, whether it be online or in person. It allows me to create a pre-sale inventory and a post-sale inventory so that the individual that I'm working with knows exactly what was in the house before the sale and what was sold during the sale and what could be remaining in the house afterwards. Unfortunately, my business is a bit gray and there are some less than reputable players in our business, and things tend to fall off the truck, so to speak. So, again, transparency is a key thing for my business. So, again, pre sale and post sale inventory, and we don't charge extra for it.
Right.
The last thing that differentiates us, and it is a big one, we do not offer cleanouts after the events. So most of my peers, after they've completed the sale, will also empty the house of its contents, so and then turn the keys back over. And while it is sounds really convenient to hire one company to do all that, it is an enormous conflict of interest for the estate sale company to also be the company that does your cleanout. And let me paint a picture why. So I'm your estate sale provider, and I come into your house and I see a painting, or I see a statue, or I see a couch, or I see whatever in your home. And then my appraiser, and yes, I do have a certified appraiser on staff, he's a W 2 employee, he appraises that item, let's say at $1,000. But instead of pricing it at $1,000, I price it at $3,000 because I control the pricing. And to be honest, I don't want it to sell. So the sale comes, sale ends, and of course, no one bought something for three times what the value of it is.
I
And
know where
you've
you're
now
going with
hired,
this.
yep, you've now hired me to take that item and either donate it or take it to the landfill. But instead, I put it in my car and then I go sell it on eBay, and I've just cut you out of your commissions. And the worst part is you paid me to do the estate sale, which I did not do correctly. You paid me to do the clean out, which I did not do correctly.
Right.
And basically, I made money on all three ends from you.
It's such a shame, because what year are we? 2026. So in 1988, I remember my future mother-in-law was selling her home in Great Neck, Long Island. And she decided to do, they called them tag sales back then.
Mhm.
And I know you're from New York, so you probably know what I'm talking about. And there was a group of women who were very well known all over Long Island for doing these tag sales. And they only accepted cash, and they required you to leave the house for the entire day. You were not allowed to be there, and you came home and they handed you whatever your percentage of the cash was, and they said, good luck, Godspeed, Bios con Dios. A few years after this, and and rightfully so, she was really angry because there were things that she's like, I don't understand. Like, there should have been more money. There are things that are missing that I know that, should have been priced at a higher value. And granted, we didn't have computers and all of that to inventory all of this stuff, or AI technology to give us the, estimated price or value. But it was discovered a few years later that they were investigated this business, this group of women, and they were convicted of fraud and theft, I guess, because they were not legit at all, at all.
Unfortunate. So people ask me what's the biggest challenge of my business. The biggest challenge in my business is the reputation that my industry has and trying to reassure someone that that is not how I operate my business. So when, that's the biggest obstacle, the biggest challenge. When I walk into a home and I meet a family for the first time, I get one opportunity to really prove to them my honesty, my trustworthiness, my transparency.
Same.
Yes, I've
Me
got
too.
great Google reviews, right? I can
Yeah.
give you referrals, but really what you want to know is how can I track what you're doing and
Yeah.
how do I know that you're not ripping me off?
Right. Right. And I tell clients all the time because I do consults before they ever decide to hire me. And I tell them all the time, and this is something I say over and over and over again. This is not a money grab for me. This is a passion. I love what I do. And yes, I need to support myself, right? I'm, a 60 something year old woman, twice divorced, who nobody's going to take care of me except for me, but it's not a money grab for me. I may, and this is what I say, I may not be rich in terms of my bank account, but I have a really rich life and I will never take any of it for granted. And I may not be able to, truly support myself once, retirement really does have to happen for me. I hope it never does have to happen for me. I hope I can continue to do this, maybe on a scaled back level with, my team going out and doing more of the grunt work. But I love business development. And more importantly, I love advocacy work. And, I know you mentioned that you're Jewish. And, if I say, I believe in Tikkun Olam, repair the world, right? Like, isn't that what we're all supposed to do? I don't care what religion you are. We should all be trying our best to repair the world in however that looks for us. So in my little corner of the world, I do the best that I can to help people who can't help themselves. And I know that's the same that you're doing for your clients.
I would say that, Beth, because, and again, I don't care where you lie on the political spectrum right now, but I think we can all agree that a lot of people are having a really hard time right now, financially, emotionally, physically. So, one of the decisions that we made about 6 months ago was to give back a little. So, when people come to our sale, if they donate two pieces or more of non perishable food, we offer them 5% off their shopping experience. It's not a huge amount of money for them. It's not, I mean, we're losing 5%, but it is what it is. But I can't change the world, but if I can make one person
Right,
have a better day, hang on for one more day,
right,
survive for one more day, I feel like I'm accomplishing what I can do, my
exactly.
small gesture to the world. I've been yelled at by a couple of our peers going, "Why are you doing this? You're making us look bad." And I'm like, "It's
Good,
5%. Like it's
good.
5%. Like
Make
you
them
donate
look bad.
10% to your church or your synagogue or whatever, it's 5%. It's not going to break, it's a cup of coffee. It's not going to make or break you. Give your
Right.
5%.
Right. I used to do that. I had a gift basket business as well as a baked goods company. And I always gave back 10% to local charities. And several times a year, I do that as well in this iteration of my professional life. But I also give back a lot of my time, a lot of my time. When there are, like at the beginning of each school year in August, I go in and help I ask people to nominate teachers who are really deserving of some help setting up their classrooms for this new school year. And I'm like, share your compelling stories about this person. And they're heartbreaking, some of these stories, a teacher who survived cancer or domestic violence or the death of a loved one or a child going through cancer. Like the stories are heartbreaking, right? And so why wouldn't I do that? It's my time. It doesn't cost me anything other than my time. And I know there are a lot of people that say, well, but you say that you don't have enough time in the day. I'm like, yeah, but I sleep at night knowing I'm doing good things in the world. I don't sleep. I take that back. I don't sleep because there's too much going on in the world that prevents me from sleeping, but at least I know I'm doing my part. I really am. I'm trying. I'm really trying. And that's who I've always been. And so, I know we were talking at the beginning of this conversation that didn't get recorded that somehow I ended up with a social security deposit this month. I don't know why. I was rejected over a year ago and assumed that I had to wait until 67 or 68. And then suddenly this deposit appears, right? Um, my goal was, my exit strategy was that, by the time I'm 67 or 68, um, I want to be in a position where I'm not the one doing the heavy lifting and the crawling around and taking, like today I had to, literally move dozens of banker boxes for a client and get them to her, some of them to her house, and another client who already left the state and needed some boxes packed up, and I had to lift them and take them to UPS to have them shipped, right? I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do that. I'm in good shape. I'm very active, but stuff happens, right? I have two herniated discs in my neck. I have thoracic scoliosis. I have neuropathy. We get older, right? Stuff happens. I want to know that when I'm no longer physically able to really do all that stuff, that I still have this business to generate some residual income for me. And I'll send out my team, whoever they are at that point, to do the physical grunt work. And that's that, because I don't know how to stop, helping people. So if I can go out and be advocating on behalf of all the people, I'm a member of the Neurodivergent Chamber of Commerce. It's really actually a very cool chamber, and I'm happy to share more information with you about it. Whenever you want. But I'm very active with the neurodivergent world in Colorado. We work with a lot of seniors, as I'm sure you get a lot of requests with seniors who are downsizing and transitioning to some form of senior living, or maybe they're going to continue to age in place, which is great. But the argument I make is, why do you still want to be surrounded by so much stuff? It becomes a burden in our lives. But a lot of our seniors don't have family or friends to support them through this transition. So a lot of times I have to give my time for seniors like that. I am very involved at the Boulder Chamber, and I'm going to say I have the ear of the president and the senior policy programming director, and both of them understand that specifically, regarding Boulder, I don't, I'm sure this exists, obviously around the Front Range, but specifically with Boulder, the issue with housing and how seniors are feeling like they can't afford to sell because there's not enough money ultimately for them to sell and then move into senior living because there's a buy-in or whatever the case may be. So they don't qualify for, any type of Medicaid funding or anything like that. But you know, they really don't want to stay in their house because it's a burden. It's a lot of maintenance. So they're very real estate rich, as John Taylor, the president of the chamber, recently said, but they're very income poor. And we have to figure out how to balance that out, especially in a community like Boulder, because there are people sitting on their homes when they should be turning over so that younger families can move in and that the school systems can continue to thrive, and that there's the proper way for housing to continue to thrive in our community, but it's not happening right now. And if we don't do something about it sooner rather than later, I mean, we're already in a crisis in this country, but it's just going to get worse, much, much worse. So,
I agree with that.
whatever part that I can do to help move things along, I'm going to try. So by the time I'm 67 or 68, yeah, I want to be doing more advocacy work and business development. I love connecting with people like you in the community and, going out to the different networking events that, you and I met at, right? Didn't we meet at Senior Blue Book?
I do anywhere from 2 to 5 networking events a week. So like
Yeah,
that's how I get new business, honestly,
right,
is I call it shaking hands and kissing babies. Like I do lots of advertising and marketing, but
right.
how I really build my business is through meeting other people, having networking groups, different coffee meetings, etc.
Right.
I do hate to cut it short, but
No,
my
that's fine.
youngest has a presentation at school in 25 minutes that
Aw,
I gotta go pick up her grandmother and get to the school so we can
nice.
participate and see the
Let's keep
event.
in touch.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Let's do this again.
Thanks.
We'll absolutely keep in touch.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
Beth. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.